What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS podcast and live stream for Monday's 8-game main slate. James, the NBA world was turned on its head on Sunday with the shocking trade of Kyrie Irving going from the new Brooklyn Nets to the Dallas Mavericks in a deal that also sent Markieff Morris and some cash. Going the other way, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, an unprotected first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick to Brooklyn. Spencer Dinwiddie going back to Brooklyn here, where got to kind of start it all for him there. Kyrie Irving going to Dallas. You now have Luka and Kyrie sharing a backcourt. We'll see how well that turns out. But that impacts this slate because both of those teams are on this slate. Luka already going to be ruled out of this game because of his ankle injury that he's dealing with. Kyrie not going to be available to make his debut for Dallas here. On the flip side, for Brooklyn, there's obviously no Irving. There's no Seth Curry. Dinwiddie is not going to be available to make his debut. Dorian Finney-Smith not available to make his debut. So there's going to be a lot of value available on this slate, both for Brooklyn and for Dallas in their matchups here. No Steph Curry through the All-Star break here, so Golden State's going to be without Curry. DraftKings had more than enough time to adjust prices for this injury, and they did not. Jordan Poole, just $6,200. And Klay Thompson, just $7,000 on this slate, can be very popular options tonight in their matchup against the Thunder. So it's going to be some pretty interesting roster builds. There's not only just those guys that are out. There's a few other players that are still waiting on statuses for, like De'Aaron Fox, who has missed the last couple of games. He is questionable. Sacramento also on a back-to-back. At last check, when I wrote the playbook up, and had it up this morning, Cleveland is on a back-to-back here going up against Washington, and it's only 3-point spread in that game. Cleveland on a back-to-back. I know we've kind of been a little weary of some questionable Vegas spreads at times this season. Sometimes it plays out like we expect it to. Sometimes it doesn't. To me, Cleveland only being a 3-point favorite over Washington with no Kyle Kuzma seems a little sus. So we'll see if Cleveland is going to be sitting anybody here on the second game of their back-to-back or not. We could have a returning Christian Wood. Keldon Johnson is questionable. Bradley Beal is questionable. Ben Simmons is questionable. Yusuf Nurkic already ruled out. Marcus Smart is out. We know Vassell is still out. Trey Jones is questionable. Jeremy Sohan is out. Isaiah Stewart is questionable. Lou Dort is out. There's a lot of injury news still to drop today. So roster construction will be quite interesting come 6 o'clock when some of this news hopefully comes out here.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. So let's shift our attention to Vegas, where you mentioned that weird spread. It's down to 2.5, opened at 3.5. I guess some places FanDuel still has it at a 3-point, as Cleveland has 3-point favorites.
But everybody healthy, you would assume there'd be more than a 3-point spread between these two teams, I would think, especially knowing Kyle Kuzma is already ruled out for this game.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is Cleveland's bad on the road this year. They're 22-6 at home, 11-16 on the road. So maybe that could be a factor. But you're right. I mean, Kyle Kuzma being out is a big deal for Vegas. Other notable trinkets we have: Boston 11-point road favorites. I don't think that's at all surprising. The Clippers opened at 6-point favorites. They're now 7.5-point favorites. Houston, Sacramento, 234 total. Sacramento is giving 5.5 to the Rockets on the road. San Antonio, 10.5-point dogs in Chicago, 238 total. We have no idea who plays for San Antonio there because Keldon also being questionable is a big deal. OKC, Golden State. OKC, 236 total. They're 4-point dogs in Golden State. And then the slate high total is Milwaukee, Portland. 242.5. Milwaukee giving 4 to Portland on the road in that late night hammer. So
yeah, that's going to be a monster game to stack if you can, especially with all the value that could be available today. Getting a Giannis and Lillard maybe doable. In lineups here tonight. So let's get over to it. Point guard, your top two guards. We have a 10-7 Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here on the road against Golden State. We just saw this matchup for him. He scored 31 actual and went for 50 fantasy points. The playbook is already out and published. I wrote that up already. And I put SGA in the playbook, but it was written with some hesitation here. It's not that he can't. He just went for 66 fantasy points, and he had a 59 fantasy pointer in back-to-back games against Atlanta, Cleveland. All of that is great. We just have to just remember now, at 10-7, a 6x return is 64 fantasy points. A 5x return at that price point is only like 55. So, he's hitting his ceiling, but he's only given you 5.5x return, right? The ceiling when he was 95 is not there as much anymore. You really need him to explode in this matchup. He certainly can do it, but to me, 10-7, it's a big number. You got to really look for a guy paying that much to me that has that 70-point ceiling. And again, we just saw a 66 game out of him against Houston, but I'm a little bit more hesitant to pay 10-7 for SGA. Lillard is $100 cheaper than him. He's giving you 40 actual in 3 of the last 4, right? Like, I would rather probably save the $100 and play Dame here against Milwaukee. I'm not sure if you agree or disagree with that take.
Well, my only argument against the 70 upside is that he didn't play the entire fourth quarter. They were up by 30 points in that game. He had like 30 actual at half. So my only argument against SGA not having the 70-point ceiling is that if he comes out aggressive and making shots, I mean, the only reason he had 45, 50 fantasy points 2 games prior is because he didn't make shots. But then we're talking about a guy who's shooting 50% from the floor on the year. So that was more of an outlier than anything. I don't disagree that like Dame's game environment is slightly better, like 242 total. He's been amazing. Like there's no Nurkic.
Better at home, as we talk about
better
all the
at
time.
home. Yeah. So like that is undisputable. Like, but like the SGA thing, it's a very good matchup in his own right. Like Jordan Poole, Ty Jerome, or DiVincenzo. Like as long as he's coming out aggressive, he's going to have a good matchup.
I think he's good for 50 to 55. You just need him to have, like you said, everything to work for him, really, to hit.
It's true.
He's not going to have a game against Houston like he does against Golden State, I guess, is my thinking. Or we think he should. Golden State's home. We talk about Golden State struggles on the road. They're also home. I think, if you put SGA in your line, I'm not going to sit there and be like, what are you doing? But I just feel like Lillard at the same price is probably where I would pivot my lineups to.
He definitely has a tougher matchup. Like the game environment, better for Lillard. The matchup against Drew Holiday, but sometimes we do overstate matchups. Like sometimes matchups in general are just like overstated, but Drew Holiday definitely a better defender than anything Golden State has.
I mean, he went for 72 against Memphis. So, I mean.
No, it's true. Look, it's like, we talk about it all the time. Stars can be stars whenever. Like defense against people like Damian Lillard, very hard to do. But Drew Holiday is a very good defender. But again, I think both are fine. I agree. I would give the edge to Lillard, but SGA does if he comes out aggressive like he did last game, there is 70 in the bag.
Sure. Yeah, he's had 70 already this year. We also saw Lillard scored 60 actual like a week ago. So going down again, next couple guys are all out. We have De'Aaron Fox, who's questionable against Houston. It would be a great matchup for him if he is in. So we'll have to wait and obviously see the status update on him there. Garland at 8K, again, a very weird line, but he was cheaper. The price is coming up on him there. I don't know if I want to necessarily pay the $8,000 for Garland, but I could understand it because of the price point that he's at.
Right.
But there are other guys in the mid-tier that I think we like. I'm very much like Drew Holiday at $7,600. If you want to talk about a guy that's not shooting well right now, I mean, that's Drew Holiday. Last couple of games for him, I mean, only 9 shot attempts against Miami. We talk a lot about guards struggling generally to get going against Miami, but then just 4 of 15 against the Clippers, 6 of 20 against Charlotte. I think really contributing to the recent 28 fantasy point games. But he's giving you mid-40s, pretty much consistently this year. We're talking game environment price point. Cheapest price we've seen Holiday in a little bit here. Eventually, Chris Middleton likely gets a minutes bump. They've been capping him at 20 minutes. He's hitting like every shot he's taking now. So there could be some water reaching level at some point with him. But in this mid-tier range, I like Garland. I think he's okay for cash. I like Holiday a lot just because of that game matchup for him there. And then, of course, Jordan Poole will be your chalk at 62.
Yep. Agree on everything you just said. And, like you said, there's an interesting line in the Cleveland game. Maybe we get a Mitchell. Mitchell's been bad and injured a lot lately. So
They got to
maybe
do a
he sits on a
fight,
back-to-back. Well, I mean, the fight wasn't his fault.
Yeah, I know.
Dylan Brooks literally punched him in the.
Yeah, that's why Dylan Brooks got suspended and Mitchell got fined. So
right. Yeah, I agree on the holiday front too. It is the Middleton bump is coming, but until it's there, 7,600 for holiday feels good.
Yep. Again, I think everybody's just gonna automatically plug in Jordan Poole at $6,200 here with no Steph Curry. That one just feels free. I don't mind Mike Conley, but I just worry about the matchup being competitive here. If there's no Christian Wood and Dallas is running out, the scrub lineup that they potentially could run out there. Maybe Conley only ends up playing 25 minutes because this game's out of hand. So something to watch there for sure. I put Derek White in the playbook. He's just playing more minutes consistently than Malcolm Brogdon. And he's playing well right now. So, $5,600 for Derek White. He's going to be third or fourth option at best most times when he's on the floor. But the numbers have been there for him against Detroit. So I don't hate that spot for White in this 5K range. Cam Thomas is a shooting guard in my mind, so we'll touch upon him in a moment, but obviously a great price. If Trey Jones sits, you called out Malachi Branham the other day. Again, the man is just hitting all of his shots. Is he going to continue to shoot this well? Probably unlikely he becomes a 70% shooter from the floor, but 11 of 16 and 9 of 13 the last two games have come to 35 and 32 fantasy points here. He's $4,500. It could be a spot right there for Malachi Branham if you find out that Trey Jones is ruled out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about Branham's floor because he's just going to play all the minutes, right? He's going to play regardless if Trey Jones sits. Mm-hmm. He's going to play in a blowout because they're down all the bodies. And if Keldon sits, it's almost assuredly a blowout, right? How do the Spurs keep it? I mean, the Bulls lose to bad teams all the time, so would it surprise me? No, but
the fighting Zach Collins come out and just keep.
The fighting Zach Collins keep him in this game. He just feels just secure. There's just the minutes are going to be there. We've seen the shot attempts the last two games, and you're right. There is regression coming from the shooting, from the effectiveness and the efficiency standpoint. But, hey, man, some people are very streaky. Maybe this is one of those guys.
The hoop could look like an ocean to him right now,
exactly. So why not? 4,500 is still a very good price.
Yep. And then we get to some other guys. 4,500 Edmund Sumner. He played almost 40 minutes there against Washington. Had 40 fantasy points. I forget if he started or not in this game. I know they started Patty Mills one of the games recently as well, but with no Seth Curry, no Kyrie Irving, Sumner's going to just be getting a lot of minutes here in this game. To that effect, Patty Mills is also $3,600. He is a guy that's likely, he saw 30 minutes in that game, probably gets 30 minutes at least, I would assume, in this matchup against the Clippers here. And then we talked about in Dallas here, it could be right, starting at point guard here, with no Spencer Dinwiddie, no Luka Doncic. He had a game where he played 23 and 21 minutes in back-to-back games against Houston and San Antonio at the end of December. They have Frankie Smokes, but it seems like McKinley's been the guy that is kind of left him in the rotation. So we'll see. They could also run a lineup that has Reggie Bullock playing point guard, and go with the veterans. So I mean, we'll see how they decide to play out this rotation here in Dallas tonight.
So my expectation would be Jaden Hardy or Wright would be the two starters, or potentially options at starting at point guard. Looking at some early ownership on places that have ownership up at this point, Hardy is projected to be one of the highest owned players of the slate.
Sure.
So maybe that's an indication, at least where the public perceives the Mavs going, the direction they go. So I have the Nets starting lineup too, John, to back to your point. Sumner did start.
Okay.
He played 40 minutes in that game, as you mentioned. Seth Curry got hurt. Do we already have word? Is he out already?
Out. He's out. Yep.
So they started Curry in that game as well. So only
Who started
bettering.
The second half?
Let's go to Popcorn Machine. No, I was just looking at ESPN. They did play. Let's see. That was the third. I mean, Brooklyn.
It was the fourth. Yep.
Okay, Brooklyn. The second half was started by. So Seth Curry started the second half and went out 2 minutes in, and Patty Mills came in and did not sit there. He did not. He sat all of 12 seconds in the second half.
Okay.
That was how much Cam Thomas played the final 17 minutes of the game. Interesting, though, John. The first half, he only played 12. No, I shouldn't say he only played 12 minutes, but he only played 12 minutes. That Seth Curry injury, obviously.
Well, he had 44 points in that.
He had 40. It's just interesting that he had 44 points. He only played 29 minutes. Four other people played more minutes than him, and he scored 40.
I'll say this about Cameron Thomas. The last 3 games, 23, 24, 29 minutes, 21, 19, and 44 points. But I'm just saying, he's out here shooting. He's a bucket right now.
Yeah, right? He is not smiling and just scoring.
Scoring.
Smiles and scoring.
He may start. Listen, there was no TJ Warren. There was no Ben Simmons. Both of those guys could be active tonight.
Potentially no Simmons, right?
Potentially no Simmons, no TJ Warren, potentially as well. Those guys are active tonight, then maybe it shifts some guys around. But I don't know. How do you not give Cam Thomas some minutes right now in this rotation, given the way he's playing?
Warren is probable.
Okay. But he hasn't even been in the rotation while being active lately, too. So
yeah. 8, 18, 11, 9, 18 minutes the last 5 games.
Yeah. So to me, Cameron Thomas seems like a guy that should be in the lineup regardless here tonight. We'll see the starting lineup. Could be Edmund Sumner, Cameron Thomas starting this game. It could be Patty Mills and Edmund Sumner. I thought Patty Mills recently started a game, but I could be mistaken on that.
It doesn't look. He definitely didn't start.
Start against the Lakers on the 30th, maybe.
I'll look. Let's see this starting lineup. Kyrie played that game. Nope. Curry was the backcourt.
He played 26 minutes in that one. That's why I wasn't sure. All right. We don't really need to go too far into it. So maybe Patty Mills just comes off the bench, but 26 and 30 minutes in 2 of the last 3 games there for Patty. Something to look at as a potential dart throw if he finds himself starting. If not, I definitely like Sumner here at 45. It's not a good spot against the Clippers for Brooklyn, but Sumner's not a guy that comes off the court in a blowout.
Right.
So
it's just the value. It's just the value of them all.
Yep, he'll play. Shooting guard here. PG is $8,900. I don't really want to pay the $89 against Brooklyn. I think you can. I just, again, don't know how competitive this game is going to be, given everybody that's going to be in or out. If Cam Thomas goes for 45, maybe it is a competitive game.
Right.
So, if you want to go Paul George in a game stack, that's fine. I just look at Jaylen Brown at 87. He dominated Detroit earlier this season. Donovan Mitchell is 83. Zach LaVine's 81. Josh Giddey is 78. All of those guys here, I think, are really solid price points. But the cover of today's playbook is Klay Thompson. He's $7,000. He just went for 45 fantasy points against this same team here. And with no Steph Curry, we talk about usage bumps. He and Poole are right there in terms of massive bumps there without Steph Curry in the lineup.
Yeah, I think this whole tier is super elite. I would pay Paul George. I think it's just so much easier to get to George than Kawhi of the two. And Paul George has the 50 ceiling. Love Jaylen Brown's price going down. Absolutely love it, even though he went for 49 fantasy points last time. Let's lower it. Yep, let's do that. Donovan Mitchell is interesting in tournaments, but he just doesn't look great. LaVine coming off a monster game, but can that game stay competitive? 50 plus in
the last 3. Obviously outlier rebound game there against Clippers, but
Giddey also just smashing right now. But dude, it's
what's been great about Giddey is the steals. At 1.8 steals over the last 4 games too.
It is great. Just give the guy freaking consistent minutes. He gets 38 in Houston. That was awesome.
Yeah.
When the other 10 games surrounding it is like 28 to 30. Like, please, just like consistency in minutes, please. But he is definitely been balling, and you're right. Like Clay is. Clay's going to be popular. 27% usage rate without Steph Curry. And that's a big number. So
yeah. Again, he's a core play. He's on the cover. He's going to be in all my lineups tonight. You can play Jalen Green as a pivot down against Sacramento if you want. Obviously, they got blown out by the Thunder, so he didn't play a lot of minutes in his return, but we know the upside Jalen Green has without Kevin Porter Jr. in the lineup. So, especially if Sacramento on a back-to-back, maybe they sit some people, make that game a little bit more competitive there from a Houston standpoint. Certainly can give a look to that one. We mentioned Jordan Poole already. Any other shooting guards in this a value tier? Josh Richardson, Eric Gordon, finally shooting guard eligible. Malik Monk, all the guys in the 5,500 range.
I think Richardson would kind of have to be a consideration if Keldon Johnson sits too, because then they're just down.
Sure.
Like if there's no Jones, Vassell, Langford, Johnson, that's 4 members of their backcourt / wings that are just not there. And Sohan as well is out. So I would say Richardson would have to be in play. It's a tough price to like consider Josh Richardson at least like current like Spurs version of Josh Richardson.
You like him better when he was $1,000 cheaper. So
yeah, but 5,500.
They can bump Josh Richardson $1,000, but they can't move Jordan Poole. You know.
yeah. Eric Gordon, even with Jalen Green returning, was well, actually, he sat that game.
Yeah.
But he was great in the Toronto game. He's been great all along.
I don't think we're going to see the 25 actual point scorer Eric Gordon with Jalen Green back in the lineup, but
I don't either.
He's making a case to get himself traded. So
he is.
Hey, I can still do this, by the way, if anybody's wondering.
Right. Right. I'm still a bucket at when they need me to be.
He's been in the league forever, right, Eric Gordon?
He has been around for a very long time. And then below 5K, I think it's just all the value guys you mentioned.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Beasley and Sexton could be game theory plays here.
Sure.
Against Dallas, if we think there's going to be a blowout. I'm not playing Davion. I don't care how many minutes he gets on the floor.
Dude, he is actually I'm happy for the Kings, right? I think the league should be happy for the Kings, and they're a good story this year. And if they make the playoffs and and they're not in the play-in game and stuff, good for them. But his regression has to be one of the most interesting things of the season. Dude, it's bad. He was pretty good last year. It's what the hell's going on?
He's terrible. You mentioned Jaden Hardy's $3,400 again, a guy that could you mentioned already, maybe one of the highest rostered players on the slate at $3,400 here. So,
dude, he's a bucket. Yeah. I know it hasn't necessarily.
He started against Portland on January 15th, played 27 minutes, was 8 of 17 from the floor in that game. So
he is I want to his G League stats. I looked him up. He is nuts in the G League. Of course, they're not going to load. Come on, G League. What is with your website? I think he's averaging 30 a game in the G League.
Is this going to be your Gabe Vincent call? When Gabe Vincent got called up a few years ago, you're you got to play Gabe Vincent. The guy's an absolute bucket. I laughed at you, and then he goes out there and had 18 actual, 19 actual. I was all right, James is right. James called out Gabe Vincent.
So, I mean, I'm not going to say that he's Gabe Vincent,
Hey, Gabe Vincent turned into an actual NBA player.
He turned into a rotation piece, that's for sure. So in the G League this year, Jaden Hardy, 11 games, 28.8 points per game, 9 of 16 shooting per game, 49% from 3, 55% from the field.
Yeah.
Dude, if he starts, I'm plugging
Plugging in Jaden Hardy.
First guy in my lineup.
Well, in order to get
First
Giannis and Dame Lillard in your lineup, you're going to need some 3K players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
First guy in my lineup is Jaden Hardy if he's starting.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all here. Even if he doesn't start though, he's going to play minutes off the bench. They have no rotation.
Probably.
And if this game gets out of hand, like Bullock's going to come off the floor. I think Hardy's maybe a core play regardless. So
he might be. I mean the projected ownership suggests it too. Like it seems like the public is already in that.
Already looking at his G League stats, being like this team is a bucket. Let's get it in.
Yep.
All right, small forward here. JT is at 11K. I'm not paying it. I know it's Detroit. I get it. He's averaging 56 fantasy points in 2 games against them, 37 actual. I get all of that. I don't know. I'm not gonna pay 11K for Jason Tatum.
I mean, you could get like Lillard for 400 cheaper, Sabonis for 500 cheaper. Like,
it's a weird price. He'll be 2% rostered to me.
So Torrens, but like if you could only spend up like if you play Tatum, like you're just taking away from the opportunity to get Giannis, who's going for 70 to 80 every single slate. Like, opportunity cost is just not worth it for me.
Yeah, no, I know, I agree. All right, other small forwards down here again. I think Lauri Markkanen's obviously interesting here against Dallas. It could be blowout, but he could also be up against absolutely nobody. Defensively there with no Dorian Finney-Smith. If Christian Wood doesn't return, even if Christian Wood does return, he's not a good defensive player. So, Lauri Markkanen's in a great spot. You got DDR under 9K. We're always in love with that. So certainly don't hate it. THJ at 6,400. I said if there's no Christian Wood, he might be the team leader in shot attempts tonight. So at $6,400, Tim Hardaway Jr. I think could have a ceiling game. I'm good. I'm good there. What's your Josh Hart thoughts here? 3 of the last 4 games he's been phenomenal. 1 game against Memphis, he has 5 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean. So Nurkic returned in that game, and then I've said it all along. Josh Hart, when there is not like a Nurkic on the floor, is just because Eubanks is not that guy, Al. Like when he's not like a rebound, like he's not like an elite rebounder. Josh Hart is, but Nurkic is too. So like he cedes rebounds to Nurkic all the time. Nurkic is a big guy. But when there's no Nurkic, I like Josh Hart. I think his upside is there. I mean, obviously the shot attempts are there without Nurkic too. The rebounds are obviously there. We say that about Jeremy Grant too. I like it. 59 is a fine price. Like it's fine. I mean, look at the last 3 games. Yeah. Take out the Memphis game. It is what it is. 33, 37, 38 fantasy points, 9+ rebounds. Like he's a guy that we can get to at 59.
Yeah, I agree. $5,900. I definitely don't hate it. Where are you with Wiggins at 58? Does he make your lineups at all with no Steph here?
So he actually has the second biggest bump in usage after Jordan Poole. But I don't know. He just hasn't been.
They're going back to the Kevin Looney starting lineup. I don't know if you saw Kerr's comments there.
I did. Of course they are. That other lineup lasted a really long time. Yeah. But also they didn't expect Steph to be out for 4 weeks.
4 weeks, yeah, exactly. So he's 5,800. I think he's fine for cash games.
He's fine.
KJ Martin at 57. I think he can certainly continue to play even with Jalen Green back. That one doesn't bother me. Horder, Jalen Williams, Richardson. No Kuzma. Denny here at 55. He let everybody down 2 games ago, then bounces right back against Brooklyn for 43 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, Beal is questionable. Kuzma's out. Like, they're going to be really.
They still don't start him. So they may start him tonight, but they haven't been starting him. So don't be worried.
Yeah, you think that's what you think. Wait till they bust out the Kendrick Nunn, Corey Kispert starting back.
That's what I'm saying. So even if he comes off the bench, like, don't be worried. The guys have been very, very good. Again, Portland game aside, very frustrating that he went 0 for 8 and they just were like, all right, kid, you don't have it tonight. We're going to go in a different direction.
Yep.
Everything else that he's been has been unbelievable, though. And he was a lottery pick, like, let's not forget. This kid was a pretty highly touted, coming over from the International League. He wasn't wasn't playing over at college. He was playing in, I think it was in Europe or was he like in the Israel League or something like that? He was something. But a lot of talent there with Denny. So I'm a big fan of his, obviously, at $5,500. If we get word that Middleton gets a minutes bump at $5,400, I'll certainly be interested here, just the way current form is with Chris Middleton. So that one's certainly appealing. And then Josh Green at $4,700 will be another probably chalk monster tonight. Already in their rotation, playing 30 minutes a night as it is. Now you just add the likelihood of more shots going in his direction, and you'll see people gravitate to that.
Yeah, Josh Green's gonna be pretty popular, and it's a good value.
Yeah, and another was a 13th, 14th overall pick last year. So
yeah,
yep. It's
and he's already been in there. He's been in their rotation regularly anyway. So
yep. I don't have any other values down here at small forward. I don't know if anybody jumps out to you.
Nope.
Okay. Power forward here, you have Giannis, averaging over 70 fantasy points the last 5 games. He went for 81, 77, 73, 70. I mean, he's my top play.
Yep.
Game environment, everything aside, no Nurkic. Just it's Giannis is my spending.
Yeah, he's gonna do whatever. He's gonna do whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants. Yeah. Jeremy Grant, by the way, is an undersized power forward. So they just don't have size for Giannis here. Trendon Watford, good luck to you, sir. Do it or whatever's going to happen. So Giannis there, sure. Zinger at 96. If guys in Cleveland sit, could be interesting. The offense is going to run through him if Beal and Kuzma are out. Yep. And Porzingis is good enough to overcome Mobley and Allen. It's just not a great. It's just a bad matchup. Just a tough spot. It's a tough spot.
Definite tough spot. I'm trying to look up the usage rate for.
He went for 18 and 11 against Cleveland earlier this year. So, again, not bad. It's just we've seen better games lately out of him. So
with Beal, Kuzma, and this is hypothetically speaking, if Beal sits, Beal, Kuzma, and Hachimura off the floor. 100-minute sample, 34.4% usage, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Both lead the team by a mile.
Yeah. I mean, he had 33. He had 38 actual against Brooklyn, and he fouled out in that game. So, he's listen, Porzingis, as long as he's been healthy in the NBA, he's been a fantastic player. So,
yep.
It's just not a matchup I want to dive all in on. So,
agreed.
If Christian Wood is healthy and no minutes limit, there's only a broken thumb. So, imagine he'd be getting good run here. Would you pay the 84 though?
Possibly. I mean, Utah's really, really bad defensively.
He had 64 fantasy points against the Lakers in that overtime game.
I mean, I think it's a very good spot. He needs to stay out of foul trouble. But
Walker Kessler could be hacking Wood here, right?
Yep. There should be no cardio issues. We should be good here, so I'm fine with that.
As much as I hate playing Evan Mobley, he's been a monster. You mentioned Donnie Mitch and guys like that are struggling. It's because you look at the box scores here for Evan Mobley. The points have been great. The rebounding's been there. Even getting defense now. Hasn't had less than 2 blocks in 8 games. So, again, number 2 pick, was he? He was after Anthony.
4. I think he was 4.
4, whatever, yeah. Again, top 5 pick, playing like it. I have his rookie card somewhere.
He was 3rd. We were both wrong. He was 3rd.
There you go. Again, I don't play him often, but I could play him potentially here. So.
Yep, agreed.
Draymond against OKC at 64, moving back to power forward.
Yeah, it should be a good spot.
He's priced appropriately.
Yeah, it's definitely priced appropriately. If we get the points, we have the upside.
We're getting those elite secondary numbers out of him.
We are getting the elite secondary numbers for sure.
So.
And the points just bring is the cherry.
He's averaging 17 rebounds and assists the last 4 games, so that's pretty legit right there.
Yeah, those are big numbers.
Yep. More mid-tier options. Anybody jumping off the page to you here?
Danny, you mentioned Jabari Smith has a big usage rate without Kevin Porter, but he's been kind of bad.
Yeah.
Isaiah Stewart is really interesting. He's been starting the last 2 games. They went back to that big lineup. If he plays, I know Boston is a tough matchup, but dude's been a fantasy point freak the last couple games, and they're just kind of playing him a bunch of minutes, 28, 37 the last 2 games. I wouldn't hate getting there. Bates Diop, I don't hate getting to. He
Yeah, he'll
continues to
start.
play
Right, so
low 20 or mid 20s, maybe high 30s minutes, but
they moved. Olynyk played 30 minutes against Atlanta here.
Did he? That's interesting. Did he start that game? I didn't think he did. What's his 2-4? Let's check the popcorn machine. He's also like being rumored in trades, so like
yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean,
think
all of
he came
Utah
off the
is.
bench. I think he came off the bench.
I think so too. I'm on popcorn machine.
Vanderbilt is questionable though, so if he doesn't play, they could move Olynyk, or they'll move Beasley. Probably one of those two will start. So that's something. That's something to watch here against Dallas if Vanderbilt's out.
They did start Kellyo.
They did. Okay, who they bench?
It was they benched Beasley. Beasley came off the bench. He only played 17.
What was their starting lineup?
They went huge. They went with Lowry at the 3. They went Conley, Clarkson, Markkanen, Olynyk, Kessler.
Okay.
Kessler only played 17 minutes.
Okay, so Vanderbilt also didn't start. He just came off the bench.
Yep, and then Walker Kessler did not play the final 16 minutes of the game.
Interesting. How come? Do we know?
They played Ochai Ajbaji the final.
Was it a blowout?
No, it was like a 2-point game, I think.
Weird. Well, that's not good news for Walker
Kessler. 7-point loss.
Huh. Strange. Well, I'll still play Walker Kessler today. That's fine. I don't think
it was 17 minutes. That's definitely concern. I mean,
but it's only a 1-game sample of that. He played.
No, I know. Before. Yeah, but like Kellyo only played how many minutes the game before? Kellyo played 20 minutes the game before. So are they going to give? That's a weird situation for me because the game Kessler plays 30, Kellyo plays 20, but then Kellyo plays 30 and Kessler plays 18.
Who do they play?
They played Atlanta in the second game. They played Toronto in a game that doesn't have a traditional center because Precious can stretch the floor, and then in a game versus Atlanta who has a traditional center, and now they play Dallas, not a traditional. I don't know what they're going to do.
Know. Well, if Kessler starts, I have to trust, but if he doesn't, well then we'll reevaluate. Any other power forwards?
I hope no one fell. I mean, the Trent Watford chalk is so annoying. He might be popular again. He was really popular over the weekend. And he got lucky and he stumbled into 20 fantasy points because Eubanks got hurt.
Sure. Could be Chetty if people sit tonight.
Could be Chetty. Yeah, could be Chetty if people sit. He's been shooting a lot. I think that's it, unless you see something else.
No, not really. Obviously Patrick Williams always plays a lot of minutes. He's probable here for this game. All right, center spot. Sabonis is 10-5. He has not been good lately.
Nope.
Last 2 games, not when we say not good, like not paying off the price tag. So he's 10-5. He went for 62 against San Antonio. Great. Hasn't cracked 50 since January 20th. So almost 2 weeks since he cracked 50 outside of the San Antonio game there. So, Houston, great spot. He's averaging 64 fantasy points in 2 games against them, averaging a triple-double, 22, 14, and 12. So, if there is an opportunity, it could be here, but definitely a little bit scary. At that spot there.
One of the games he had 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 16 assists.
Yeah. Crazy.
Which is a lot of assists.
Maybe Fox coming back tonight could help. I don't really know, but it's a risky price point for him given the recent production. Vuka's 91. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. He's basically being priced appropriately here. Seen some upside out of him lately. He is at home, where he's played marginally better this season, but I don't know. San Antonio's been a good matchup for centers.
Yep.
All season long. Şengün's averaging 40 fantasy points in 2 games against Sacramento. 12, 8, and 8 in 2 games against Sacramento. So the assists were back-to-back games for him as well in those two. He had the 10-10-10 triple-double and 14, 6, and 7. So, we'll again, as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, I'm assuming is what happened against the Thunder there.
What, this last game?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, foul trouble, and then
they got blown out by 30.
They were just like, yeah, we're just not going to play you again.
Claxton's at 79 against the Clippers is a good spot. He doesn't have a crazy high usage rate, but he has a high fantasy point per minute output there.
Yep.
Jared Allen's probably one of my favorite centers on the board against Washington at $6,800, assuming everybody is, in the lineup here. Again, went for 42 against them earlier this year. Good matchup against Daniel Gafford. Last 3 games have been good for Allen, so I like the price point in the mid tier for him in this spot. And then the value guys, Robert Williams has no minutes cap at 5,500. Walker Kessler's at 54. I don't mind either of them too either.
Nope. I definitely voiced my
concerns on Kessler. Yeah.
Concerns on Kessler, so I probably will stay away there. I get it in large field tournaments, but like if you're playing single entry, I think it's pretty hard to trust just because we don't know what their rotation is going to be at all. I don't really like this mid tier. I do love Jared Allen. He's been awesome and playing 30 all the minutes he can handle. So I guess Jakob Poeltl could be interesting, but when are his minutes? His minutes always fluctuate too. Mm-hmm. I never know when his minutes are going to be.
Sure. All right, let's build a lineup.
Is there value? Is there any value?
Not really. Zach Collins.
It's Eubanks if he plays. He's probable. Again, he left that Chicago game with an injury.
Do you even want to play? I mean, I don't know. Would you want to play Eubanks against Milwaukee?
No, but he's cheap. But I guess that doesn't matter because there's not a shortage of value on the slate.
That's how I'm looking at it. So.
There's not necessarily a shortage of value. So,
all right, do we want to play Giannis at power forward or center?
I was thinking forward or util in case we get a late scratch for Giannis that we can swap him.
Util works.
Because then we could swap him to Dame if needed.
I was gonna try to play them both. So.
Oh, okay. That also could happen. So
$4,500 a player with Lillard and Giannis, and we got more than a handful of guys.
So we're playing Jordan Poole.
Yeah, we got Hardy. I'm putting in Hardy now.
Hardy. We're definitely playing all the value in Brooklyn. Sumner, Mills.
Let's see here. Poole. Mills. Patty Mills. So we can't play Patty. Sumner. So Jaden Hardy being shooting guard only kind of handcuffs here.
Yeah, it stinks. I know it
Sumner
stinks.
and Mills are point guard only. So
you have to play one of the two. Essentially.
Well, how about this? We'll get rid of Poole then. Sumner is 45 and Mills was 36.
I'd almost rather play Jordan Poole at his price than Lillard at his.
Well, Clay gives us.
That's true. We could do Clay. That's true. We could do Clay. His flexibility is definitely better.
Yeah, because he's a small forward there. So I have Patty Mills, Jaden Hardy, Klay Thompson, Dame Lillard, and Giannis. We may
3,500.
Yeah, we may have to move Giannis to center just to open up the utility spot here. So, I can put him at forward, I guess. Giannis at forward. 4,400 to play for Mills, Hardy, Thompson, Lillard, and Giannis. We had another 3K guy, didn't we?
I feel like they're all guards.
So I lied. So because we have the util open, we can put another cheap guy down there. So.
Okay. I feel like all our value. We had Jalen Green, Josh Green.
Let's see. Josh Green.
4,700 for a small forward. Put him in the forward slot. Then you can move Giannis to either center, like you said, or to power forward.
Yeah.
But on 4,100, I don't know if there's anything down there.
Okay, I'm trying to see if there was another. We thought maybe Wright would start potentially there, but we're not 100%, right? He's 35.
I don't think we should. I'm not sure about playing right end.
Okay.
I mean, they might. They also did start Josh Green at shooting guard,
Sure.
and then
Sure.
so like I don't know who between Wright and Hardy, one of them probably starts and one of them comes off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But and you mentioned they started Frankie Smokes a couple times.
Right.
Like there's a couple of directions they could go.
All right. Then 4,400. Kelly O is 41. Colin Sexton's 39. Isaac Okoro's been really good the last two games, whether you want to believe it or not. He's at 38. We could at this point you put Eubanks at util at $3,800. Davion will start. We know that at 38, assuming that what's his face is out there.
We've straight up wrote Davion off.
I know, I hate him. I'm just mentioning his name for the sake of the conversation. Let's see here. $4,400 a play. Let's see. Bates Diop at 46 will play.
Okay.
43. Would you go Kellyo? 41. Joe Harris 42.
So it feels so forced. Like it. I guess Olynyk is fine if he's gonna play 30 minutes.
Beasley at 44. Bullock is 43. Joe Harris, I mentioned.
The problem with like Beasley is he loses all the minutes to Kellyo last game, and like we just that situation is so fluid. It's so fluid.
Let's see here. 3,700. Is there? Oh, it works out that way, doesn't it? It does. Nope, $100 off. I put Cam Thomas in. We had a $3,700 forward play. Doesn't really give us much there. So Kispert will play a boatload of minutes.
Probably. I mean, look, we could play any of these guys. It feels forced to me.
I'm trying to see if there's an obvious pivot down from anywhere here, but it doesn't feel like.
I mean, I think the two pivot options are either going from Dame.
Yeah, it's gonna have to go down from Dame.
It's Dame or Clay, but I think we'd rather keep Clay. I think per cost.
Yeah.
Probably...
So if we get off Dame, we move Cam Thomas to guard. We have 7,100 for a forward and a utility. Still building around Giannis here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the
okay.
The move.
And,
I mean, Jordan Poole. Would we want to play Poole and Clay together?
Yeah, we'll pull Poole back in the lineup. That's fine. So that gives us a $8,100 forward. Zach LaVine, Mobley is at 72. LaVine's 81.
We also didn't play like Branham. We didn't play like any of the Spurs value.
Well, I mean, there's too much value on this slate. So I mean, like,
yeah, I know. What value? It's what's the correct value when there's too much value?
Play Tim Hardaway. Yeah. Hold on. What was it?
I actually don't hate that if you did maybe Hardaway over Poole. We'd have like over $9,000.
I moved Giannis to forward, and I put Claxton at center. Think that works?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we got
or you go to your Jared Allen play at 68.
Yeah, but we still. I mean, that just leaves us so much money.
Yeah,
could be a slate where we just have a lot of money left over too. We don't know. I'm trying to see if you can.
We can keep Claxton. I mean, they don't have anybody active.
Yeah. All right, Patty Mills, Jaden Hardy, Klay Thompson, Keita Bates-Diop, Nick Claxton, Cam Thomas, Giannis, and Poole. Current lineup build, as you saw. You can certainly fit Lillard and Giannis in your lineup. You probably can't play the Warriors. If that ends up being the case here tonight. We have to go down from Klay and Poole. But if Branham starts, like if all these guys are going to be starting again, there's going to be a ton of, Tim Hardaway Jr. could give you Klay Thompson production at, $700 less tonight if he ends up being the only guy there for Dallas. So a lot of options, a lot of news still to come today. Obviously, the core plays will be out later. The playbook is out now. We'll be in the Discord all day if you have any questions, and James and I will catch you guys later.